What's up, guys? Welcome back to Newswave. Well, it is March 3rd, 2021, and that means the Nintendo Switch is now 4 years old. It's hard to believe it's been 4 years since the system released, but let me know some of your thoughts on the platform so far since it released. Today, though, we have a bunch of things to go over, which includes Sony shutting down part of the PlayStation Store, that being for the movie purchases and rentals section. We'll talk about what that means for you if you have some of those movies on your PlayStation now. We're also going to be talking about a pretty solid eShop sale that's going on right now because it's always fun to get great games at cheap prices. And we're also going to be taking a look at a patent that was filed by Sony that would allow you to use a banana for a controller. Guys, if you enjoyed these videos, make sure that like button helps out a ton. And if you're new here to the Small Wave channel, make sure you subscribe down below. And we're gonna start today with a new game announcement. We had a trailer that went live basically out of nowhere yesterday, along with a bunch of preview write-ups on different websites. And this is for an Aliens game that's not being done by Gearbox, so we're off to a good start right away. In fact, this looks like it's going to be the studios, that being Cold Iron Studios, first game that they've made after being formed in 2015. Now they have several studio leads and developers from things like City of Heroes, Star Trek Online, and Neverwinter, so they're not exactly new to the game development scene. But check this trailer out here, because right away when I look at this, I start thinking about Left 4 Dead mixed with the Aliens franchise, and that sounds awesome. This is Aliens Fireteam. It is indeed an all-new co-op shooter that's being done, and they have it slated right now for summer 2021, that for PlayStation 4, PlayStation 5, Windows PC, Xbox One, and the Xbox Series S and X. Going through some of the preview a bit more, they do talk about a ton of progression, whether it's leveling up or working through all these different campaigns. And for what I'm seeing so far, it looks really, really cool. And I'll be keeping up to date on this one as we work towards its initial launch window that they have at least planned out right now for the summer. Also, if you have not already, Ratchet and Clank 2016 is currently free on the PlayStation Store, and you don't even need a PlayStation like console or anything to do that. If you just have an account set up on Sony's website, you can attach this game to your account without PlayStation Plus or any of that. Now, this is part of their Sony Play at Home initiative. Ratchet and Clank 2016 is the game based on the movie, based on the game. It's a good game overall. I had a lot of fun with it, and if you haven't played it, I mean, it's free. You might as well go ahead and add it to your account. Even if you don't have a PlayStation now, you might get one in the future and want to go ahead and try it out there. This deal seems to be running all the way to the end of March 31st, midnight, when we tick over to April. So go ahead and get this added. I mean, it's free, you might as well. Oh, and here's a bit of news that came out of left field. The Wii U got an update. Yeah, just like randomly, overnight, we saw a message go up on Twitter because there are a lot of bots that will track different updates that Nintendo, for example, will push. And it came up with the Wii U getting a new system update, that being 5.5.5. So like, I guess 2 or 3 people had to confirm that still have their Wii U's plugged in, but yeah, it actually got an update out of nowhere. Now, we've had an update for the PS3 kind of recently, I think a month or 2 ago, and we've even seen the Vita get a random update, but according to Nintendo, we can see here, this is further improvements to overall system stability, and other minor adjustments have been made to enhance the user experience. And there were some alarm bells that were set off in the modding community. People who have soft modded their Wii U were concerned that this would mess things up or require further modification to some of these custom OSs, just to make sure everything is still solid with these exploits. So of course you can use different things like Game Boy Advance emulators or any of that, GameCube games even, on the Wii U. Nope, this doesn't seem to affect any of that. So I don't know, maybe it was a bug in a game that Nintendo wanted to go back and just kind of patch, but it also needed to be patched at like a system level. Either way, though, if you're one of the 3 or 4 people that still have your Wii U plugged in, might as well go ahead and update it to 5.5.5. And guys, some of the quick news out of the way, let's get into the bigger stuff. Let's start right away with Sony, the PlayStation Store, and their movies and rental service that is available right now on the PlayStation Store, at least for now. It looks like they are planning to remove that section from the PlayStation Store and more or less rely on other services like streaming with Netflix or Hulu or Disney Plus, any of that. Let's head over to the blog post that they put up on their site, where they say, at SIE, we strive to provide the best entertainment experience for PlayStation fans, and that means evolving our offerings as customer needs change. We've seen tremendous growth from PlayStation fans using subscription-based and ad-based entertainment streaming services, on our console. So that would be, of course, like Hulu, Netflix, or also YouTube that does leverage ad-based entertainment quite a bit. With this shift in customer behavior, we have decided to no longer offer movie and TV purchases and rentals through PlayStation Store as of August 31st, 2021. When this change takes effect, users can still access movie and TV content they have purchased through PlayStation Store for on-demand playback on their PS4, PS5, and mobile devices. We thank our fans for our continued support, and we look forward to further enhancing the entertainment experience on PlayStation. Now, something that was coming up quite a bit online after this announcement was made is what happens to the movies and shows and stuff that I've purchased. Fortunately, they did clarify it here. I don't know if people just didn't read all the way down at the bottom. You will still be able to access those. It's just the offerings on like the storefront for media will just go away. You won't be able to buy movies or do rentals on them or shows, any of that. I assume you'll just have to go to your media section and it'll still be in your library under your different digital purchases that you have made. So looking at this, I can only assume that Sony realized, wow, a lot of people are not buying. Like, there's probably a very small amount of traffic that goes to that part of the PlayStation Store, and Sony's been most likely watching this kind of dwindle down as like the rise of streaming services has taken place. I mean, if you bought their remote for the PS5, you probably even noticed, if you look down, there's like Disney Plus, YouTube, Netflix. They have buttons for all of that, and that most likely has to do with their own research showing what people are more inclined to turn on if they want to watch something. Do they go to the PlayStation Store where they buy different movies, or do they just load up Netflix and hang out? That said, for the people that were actually going and buying movies and renting different movies or shows, yeah, this isn't good because they are removing content or options that were made available to you prior. So one thing I saw a lot of people mention, hey, if the movie or whatever it is, the show isn't on that streaming service, I at least had the PlayStation Store that I could turn to. I saw people mention that at times throughout the holidays, some of these different shows and movies may have been removed from streaming services like a Netflix, for example, but I could go and I could rent it on the PlayStation Store when we're having people over, any of that for the holidays, and that makes sense. So I would hope that this means that Sony is more or less taking what they had to do, which was the effort to bring those different movies and TV shows to the PlayStation Store, and kind of reallocating it to doing more with their games side of things and leaving the media more or less up to the streaming services. Either way, it's not good news because they're removing features, but I mean, if a lot of people weren't using it, Sony might be looking at that as wasted opportunity and money and spending time on something that they probably don't need to. Either way though, I am curious if you are someone that used kind of the movie and TV show section of Sony's own store, whether you're renting or buying. Let me know if you were someone who frequented that section, because I gotta be honest, I really didn't. Next up, let's talk about an eShop sale that is going on right now. And I wanted to bring it to your attention. It's been going on for a couple of days now, but it's really good. Like, I started looking through the sale that they had. It's from Nice America for their winter sale. And there are some top quality games in here that are less than half off in some instances. Let's head over here. This is the Nice America Winter 2021 sale. It's gonna be running until March 7th. That's March 7th, 11:59 p.m. Pacific time. And if we kind of scroll down through these, I mean, you have The Legend of Heroes Trails of Cold Steel 3 at $36. They have Prinny and Prinny 2. Those are marked down to $15 each, but then we get a little further down. I see like Langrisser 1 and 2, and I've looked at that from time to time at that $50 price. I'm like, but like $30 isn't bad. Disgaea 4 Complete Plus at $30, but I saw Ys 8 Lacrimosa of Donna at $24. That is an absolute steal if you have not played this game. Now, it's a little harder to find from what I've seen physically, especially if you're looking for it new. And some of these RPGs people tend to have digitally, so they can kind of jump back and forth to them, because they are longer games that you will more or less come back to over and over again. Disgaea 5 Complete, by the way, at $20 is still a good deal there. Disgaea 1 Complete, $20. Great selection here for Disgaea fans, by the way. And I did see Destiny Connect. That is down to $12. I think I'm finally going to go ahead and pick that one up. But like I said, you can't go wrong with the Ys games. games, and Ys 8 was very, very good there. And if you've never tried Disgaea, those are some pretty good prices for it, just to see what it's all about. But let me know, once again, if you go through here, you see any solid games you want to make recommendations for down in the comments. Next up, let's talk about an acquisition that was made yesterday, and I didn't see this one coming. This surprised and shocked a lot of people on Twitter when this was posted. We can head over here. This is from the Fall Guys game Twitter account saying, huge news, Mediatonic are pleased to announce that we've joined the Epic Games family. What does this mean? I'm glad you asked. And they go on further on a page on their website with a frequently asked questions that was set up, where they go over different things like, what does this mean exactly for Fall Guys? And the biggest things that they seem to point to naturally are like Fortnite and Rocket League and stuff like that. But they did mention crossplay, and that's something that I had brought up, and Epic has been really pushing that idea of crossplay. We've seen it really pushed hard with something like Fortnite, and I think Epic Games is looking at Fall Guys as something they'd like to do with what they've done with Fortnite, which is bring it everywhere and make it all interconnected. And I am getting a bit more concerned about seeing a lot of these acquisitions take place, because we are hearing about EA buying up Codemasters. We see Microsoft buying up ZeniMax and Bethesda, and here's Epic Games picking up a very, very popular game and bringing it on board for them. It is kind of consolidating more and more as we go along here, so I don't know. Fall Guys going to the Epic Game Store, by the way. We'll see how that plays out a bit more on PC, and it is still slated for the Switch and the Xbox. They wanted to reinforce that here, and again, Epic has been pretty good about moving Fortnite everywhere, so I think Fall Guys will mostly remain everywhere, but we'll see how this one plays out. Maybe it's just, it was a good move for them in terms of money and all of this, and they could have room to grow alongside of Epic Games. Well, I guess underneath of Epic Games. But let me know what you guys think of this one and if this caught you off guard. And in our last bit of news, let's talk about a new filing from Sony. This is a patent that allows you to bring other inanimate objects around you into the game. At least that's kind of what's being described here. Now, I like to look at patents from time to time because it does give us an idea as to what a company is thinking about, or maybe even what they're planning out or playing around with, at least in R&D. Let's take a look at this here. This is an image, by the way, that they have as part of the patent. And yes, that is indeed a banana there that has a couple of PlayStation buttons on it. Now, those would just be, I guess, overlaid through the PlayStation VR or augmented reality, because it's described as it would be desirable if a user could use an inexpensive, simple, and non-electronic device as a video game peripheral. The present disclosure seeks to address, or at least alleviate, some of the above identified problems. Now, the patent goes on to explain how they would accomplish this rather than using like QR codes, for example, to communicate to the camera that you might be using for the next PlayStation VR 2. Instead, it would be able to recognize different objects through pixels and colors and contours around that object, which really means you would kind of go into this next generation of VR with augmented reality, where things in your room or things that you might be holding would enter that game, which is, it's interesting to consider that, because, you know, we'll use like the PlayStation wand, it'll change colors and the camera will see that when we're playing different things with PlayStation VR. I guess the next step would be your entire environment being recognized, and we go to like that holodeck level where you don't even need a VR headset or any of that. This is an interesting idea. I don't know if we're going to see this, but I guess it's possible. I mean, we're really speculating heavily about what the PlayStation VR 2 could be and where Sony could take this whole thing. Maybe that is an idea they have, where you don't necessarily need to rely on these specific wands that they released, as long as the camera can recognize an object and it's something that could be used in the game, it can legitimately become part of the game. Something to keep an eye on here as we head towards PlayStation VR 2, which has already been mentioned by Sony, and we're kind of anticipating for 2022. And before we go to the comment of the day, we're taking a look at the poll that I posted up yesterday, where I asked, which franchise from Square would you want to see forever remake? Chrono Trigger was number 1 by a wide margin, 53%. Final Fantasy was number 2, Parasite Eve was number 3, and then I threw Legacy of Kain in there because it dawned on me that actually might be it. Because, all right, so Forever Entertainment, I don't think they've done a lot of RPGs at all, and we just listed off 3 different RPGs and then one that's much more action-oriented with Legacy of Kain or Soul Reaver or Blood Omen or any of that. That kind of feels like the series that Square would pick up and just kind of hand to Forever Entertainment. I don't I don't think Square is going to hand Chrono Trigger over to Forever Entertainment. That kind of leads us into our comment of the day. This from Isaac saying, one thing is for sure, if any SNES RPGs are going to be remade, they had better offer a mode that is the classic game untouched. And this is something I thought about a bit more as I was like, okay, maybe it's Final Fantasy. Okay, maybe Chrono Trigger. It's that Square, most likely, if they do that, would want to do it themselves because they are going to be testing fans with any new art style they introduce. There are going to be people who will not like it, and that's just the way it is. Although they didn't do a great job with like the cell phone version or the Steam version of things like Chrono Trigger. They couldn't get the interface right. You know what would be really cool though? Let's say they went forward with it and it wasn't a remake of the level of Final Fantasy VII Remake, but it was a remake that still kept it a bit more true to its original look. What if they did what we've seen with like Halo Anniversary, for example, where you switch between the new and the old visuals like on the fly? Like something like that would be fun to throw in there. But one thing's for sure, they at least need to get Chrono Trigger up to current platforms, even if it's just like the standard basic Chrono Trigger, because that is a game that I'm sure many new gamers have not tried and they really need to. And ladies and gentlemen, that's gonna do it here for Newswave. If you enjoyed this video, guys, hit that like button, it really helps out. If not, hit the dislike, leave comments down below about everything we talked about here today, whether it is the eShop sale. Let me know if there are any good ones that I missed down below in the comments. And then what do you think about the PlayStation movie and TV show section being discontinued and removed at the end of August, especially if you're someone who used it a lot? And what do you think about Fall Guys, the developers, publishers, that being purchased by Epic Games? Are you starting to get a little nervous about all the consolidation that's starting to take place now in the gaming space? Thanks guys for watching, and I'll see you next time.